This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. We're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I have the latest Iowa Ag News headlines, including some comments from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds at the Agribusiness Association of Iowa showcase this week. But first, let's go ahead and run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. First off, Robin, what did we see going on in the grain markets today?
Well, the big thing was the USDA's Outlook Forum report and its impact on the market. So we did see initially, early this morning during the morning trade, we saw some strength come back into the market, brought prices back up to about unchanged on corn and soybeans, but then over time they just started weakening again. The USDA's numbers, they're looking at least their estimates now off of this forum. They're looking at 91 million acres of corn planted. Last year we had 94.6 million, so they're anticipating a decrease in the corn acres, but they increased the yield to 181, where last year it was 177.3. Now, the estimates by the trade were 91.8 million acres. So it was a little more supportive from looking at the estimates, but it really didn't have that much impact on the marketplace with corn, down 6 to 7 cents, by the end of the day. Now, they did take ending stocks and moved them up on their estimates to 2.532 billion bushels, where last year we were at 2.172. So that's not that friendly either again. We have been seeing a little bit more competition from South America, and our exports are running behind, what we are projected for this year. So it kind of puts a little bit of a double whammy in there. Now, soybeans, they increased the acres on those to 87.5 million. The trade expected 86.5. Last year we were at 83.6 million acres. So a little more bearish on that standpoint too, and they increased yield to 52 bushels to the acre, where this last year we were at 50.6, pushing ending stocks to 435 million bushels. Relative to 315 last year. So even with good demand, for the soybeans, that's going to be putting more supply into the marketplace. On the wheat side, they had 47 million acres planted, estimated 47.5 by the trade. Last year at 49.5. Now they're looking at 49.5 bushels to the acre versus 48.6 last year. Puts our ending stocks at 769 relative to 658. So, really the wheat was the most bearish of the markets as we were trading today, looking at some significant losses, down 14, 15 cents.
And then, Robin, on the other side of the ag marketplace with the livestock complex, what do we see going on in the cattle and hogs?
Well, the cattle, we did regain some of the losses, or most of the losses from yesterday. We had initially some cash traded yesterday, about $1 to $2 lower. We had a big boost on cash trade last week, $1 to $2 lower. Trade was kind of anticipating maybe steady prices, so that put a little bit of a nail in the coffin yesterday, but they're overcome that today. We're still seeing potential for some lower cash. A little bit was done today again. $1 lower in the north, about $2 lower in the south. not very many being traded. That more of that's going to happen probably on Friday again, as it generally does. So the trade is a little bit cautious on what's going on. Export sales were not very good. They were at 16,600 metric tons for the weekly export sales. That's down 19% from last week. So really the beef exports are struggling somewhat. But boxed beef prices made a little bit of a comeback, at least at the midday report. Choice was up $1.19, select up $3.84. Now so far this week, we've seen lower boxed beef prices, which has been a little bit of a negative impact on the market. So we'll see what we end up with at the end of the day. But generally we're seeing a little bit of an issue there, or caution developing by traders for the cattle market at this current level. Now on the pork side, we have seen the last 2 days really a significant turnaround. Strong buying in the futures. Looks like it's going to challenge the highs of January 30th again, the way they're going. Pork export sales provided a lot of support today to maintain the gains from yesterday, or keep those gains and maintain a little bit more upside today. Pork exports were at 71,900 metric ton. That was up 83% from last week. So the anticipation of stronger pork exports by China cutting some of their herd, and that is really seems to be coming to fruition. And that's why packers have been so more aggressive the last couple of weeks as far as buying, because they need to get this pork. They need to get it for exports, not quite so much for domestic demand, but more for exports.
Robin, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners who'd like to get in touch, learn more, and just reach out to the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
Well, they can call me directly if they'd like, 877-256-3253. Go to our website, agmarket.net. There's a 844 phone number in there that they can call, or they can send us an email, and they'll be able to get a hold of somebody.
Robin, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today, and we appreciate your great market analysis as always. Looking forward to hearing from you again soon.
All right, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks again to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net for joining us today. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com. March corn down 6.5 at 417 3/4. March soybeans down 8 1/4 at 1162 1/4. March soybean meal down 380 at 339.50. March soybean oil down 35 cents at 46 even. Chicago wheat down 18.5 at 567 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 12 even at 575 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 4.5 at 658 even. March oats up 1/4 cent at 382 1/4. On the Merc, February live cattle up $1 at 183.40. March feeders up 87 cents at 247.10. April lean hogs up 47 cents at $85 even. April pork cutout went unchanged at 91.42. February class 3 milk up 2 cents at 16.18. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I have the latest Iowa Ag News headlines. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Time now to take a look at the latest Iowa Ag News headlines. The Iowa Pork Producers Association maintains its commitment to fighting food insecurity by supporting local food pantries across the state with the Pork in the Pantry program. Recognizing the critical role that food pantries play in addressing hunger within communities, the IPPA will reimburse county pork producers organizations up to $1,000 for pork products donated to food pantries in their counties. The initiative underscores Iowa pork producers' dedication to giving back to their communities. The $1,000 worth of pork can be either through one large donation or several smaller donations through April 19th. This is the second year that the Iowa Pork Producers Association has organized the Pork in the Pantry program. Last year, 40 county producer programs worked with the IPPA to donate pork to local food pantries, totaling nearly $40,000 statewide, amounting to more than 50,000 meals for underprivileged Iowans. Many groups purchase the pork from area meat lockers and grocery stores, helping to keep the dollars in their local communities. Any county pork producer organization in Iowa is eligible to participate in Pork in the Pantry. Counties are responsible for purchasing and donating the pork products and will be reimbursed by the IPPA. The deadline for submission a request form is April 26th. More information can be found online at iowapork.org. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds was the keynote speaker for the closing luncheon at the Agribusiness Association of Iowa Showcase in Altoona. Governor Reynolds celebrated Iowa's status as a world leader in ag production.
You know, as always, it's such an honor to join the Agribusiness Association of Iowa, especially so today. You know, last week was a tough week for all of us when we lost a dear friend, a colleague, and truly a legend in Iowa agriculture. So today I want to just take a moment and just honor Bill Northey. You know, Bill was a humble servant leader who dedicated his life to the industry he loves. Most recently as the association's CEO, but also across a long and accomplished career of leadership and public service. Anyone who had the privilege of working with Bill can attest that no one cared more about farm families and rural communities, and no one worked harder to support them. As his obituary so perfectly put it, he brought a farmer's work ethic to every aspect of his life, and that is just so true. Bill really was a farmer at heart, and it shows in all he accomplished for agriculture, both at the state and federal levels. Those accomplishments also depended on another one of Bill's outstanding qualities, and that was Bill's ability to listen. You know, no matter where he landed on a given issue, he always made people feel heard because he truly cared about the people that he represented and the people that he led. But as Bill would surely agree, his most important roles were those of loving husband, father, and grandfather. A great farmer, ag leader, and family man, Bill Northey represents the very best of Iowa. He was a giant among us, and his wisdom and his friendship will be missed by so many. So I know there's already been a moment of silence in Bill's honor. So instead, as we continue to keep Cindy and the family in our prayers, could you just please stand and join me in recognizing him with an ovation that he'll hear from heaven. You know, an important part of Bill's legacy is the culture of partnership and collaboration that he championed in the industry. So it is no wonder that he believed so strongly in the Agribusiness Association, whose 1,100 members are such dependable partners for our farm families. Your grain, feed, and fertilizer suppliers, manufacturers of pesticides, herbicides, and farm equipment, through our ag tech, startups, disruptors, and scientists. You truly are innovators of many different stripes, yet you all share a common mission of empowering producers to feed and fuel the world more efficiently and sustainably. It's hard really to overstate the importance of your work, which is why I'm so proud that our state remains a global hub for the kind of innovation that AAI members do every single day. You know, last month I had the chance to be at ISU's research park for the ribbon cutting and opening of Pivot Bio. It's a member company that's created a technology to convert atmospheric nitrogen into fertilizer for crops to increase yields and, of course, protect our natural resources. You know, its expansion in Iowa is evidence of our broader commitment to enhancing our conservation practices. It's why we rank #1 for the number of farms with conservation reserve contracts, #1 in the Farmable Wetland Program, #1 for floodplain wetlands, and #1 for conservation tillage. I don't know about you, but to me, it sounds like something is working. Meanwhile, we have farm families in every corner of our state who have invested $314 billion into one of the most advanced agricultural infrastructures in the United States. As a result, we produce 10% of the nation's food supply. We rank second in overall value of our ag exports and have the highest concentration of agriculture engineers and animal scientists in the country. Again, Iowa agriculture is working. And that has everything to do with the thriving and diverse ecosystem of businesses on display at this showcase. And I'm proud of the work that we've done with the Agribusiness Association and the industry to maintain this position of strength. And that means partnering with IDLs to make critical investments in water quality and nutrient reduction, advancing renewable fuels, and funding the vet diagnostic lab. It also includes last year's tort reform that places a reasonable cap on non-economic damages when a commercial truck is involved in an accident. And this session, I've introduced legislation to protect Iowa for predatory Chinese land purchases, and I want to say thank you for supporting our efforts on this important legislation. And because we understand the value of innovation across our economy, Iowa, and we really pride ourselves on giving businesses a real seat at the table. And I hope that engagement is on full display in our growth-oriented policies. Iowa's tax rates, personal and corporate, are low and getting lower. We have no sales or property tax on industrial machinery and equipment. And we impose no sales tax on computers. Add in our low cost of doing business, affordable energy rates, fair and responsive regulatory system, and it truly is hard to imagine a better time to be doing business in America's foremost agricultural powerhouse. If I could distill into one word the key to Iowa's success, it would be one that Bill Northam would certainly endorse, and that is partnership. While elected officials can create the conditions for prosperity, it's ultimately businesses like yours that truly deliver it. So by continuing to foster strong public-private partnerships, we can continue to create an environment where we grow and we thrive together. Thank you for working day in and day out to build that culture in our state.
That again was Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. And finally, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack calls the data in the 2022 Census for Agriculture a wake-up call for the industry. In a statement following the release of the census, Vilsack says, quote, "It's imperative that we continue to deliver agriculture policies that create multiple streams of income and new, more competitive models for small and mid-sized farms." The census reports that 141,733 fewer farms in 2022 than in 2017. The number of farm acres fell more than 20 million acres from just 5 years earlier. American Farm Bureau Federation President Zippy Duvall says, quote, "Increased regulations, rising supply costs, lack of available labor, and weather disasters have all squeezed farmers to the point that many of them find it impossible to remain economically sustainable." Vilsack added, quote, "We are at a pivotal moment in which we have the opportunity to hold tight to the status quo and shrink our nation's agriculture sector further, or we can choose a more expansive, newer model that creates more opportunities for more farmers." That's all the time we have for Iowa Ag News headlines. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free twice daily market podcasts on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.